Hey, this is Tiger. Welcome to my stream, and don't be afraid, you are not too late. I am much too early because before I do my regular stream tonight, I want to record a video about keeping track of all the Train Sim World routes that we have at the time being end of June 2026 on a stream. The other day, Matt said that he wants each and every route on the planet represented in a train simulation at some point in time, and each and every train. Well, this was obviously more like um, a joke, but let's see how far we are actually away from this, or how many routes and where on Earth we actually have them so far. So I'm streaming this live, but it's more or less like a recording. If you want to drop in your 2 cents, you're totally welcome. If not, then I'm just going through with my stuff. So this is a map of the Earth, more or less. On the left side, the Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, Greenland, Australia. And I see where at all we have some routes in Trains in World 6 so far. It's more or less those three regions where we have routes or routes are incoming. The America northern part, no Southern American routes. Europe and part of Asia, since we're still waiting for the Tadami line. And in those three areas, we have hotspots again, where we have routes, and other parts where we do not have routes yet. In Europe, it is mostly the UK, Netherlands, Germany, Czech Republic, Austria, Switzerland, France, and hopefully soon Portugal. In Asia, only the Japan, the Japanese line that is promised, and in the USA and Canada, we have especially around the Northeast Corridor routes, and in California, as well as in Wyoming and Utah. We will get to this soon. So let's have a view first on the routes in Europe. So again, Europe, British Isles, Central Europe, Spain, Italy, Greece, Russia, Eastern Europe, Scandinavia, and here a bit of Africa. And in the UK, we have covered quite a bit. Nothing in Ireland, but it's not the UK, obviously, but also nothing in Northern Ireland. What would be the UK in the northern part? We have forever, more or less, the Tees Valley line, what is quite far up in the north, a bit south of Newcastle in the area. And the Cathcart Circle line was one of the first DLCs that we had in Scotland, around Glasgow, or maybe even the first DLC in Scotland. Then Rivet presented us at some point in time with the Edinburgh-Glasgow Express, connecting those two major cities in Scotland. Then we got the very beautiful 5 Circle line with the 11th branch here. Then Just Trains gave us the beautiful Preston Carlisle bit of the West Coast Main Line. Preston is not on the map here, it is further to the south, and blue because it is still on the road map and incoming. The Cumbrian Coast, Carlisle to Whitehaven DLC, also by Just Trains. I'm really looking forward to this. It is the beautiful area here. Around Cumbria in the northern Cumbrian coast. Yeah, will be super interesting to get that. Moving further south, center of England with London here. On the southern part of the border, obviously here we have many routes. The Great Western Express, London to Reading was the first one. Northern Transpennine, Manchester Piccadilly to Leeds, a beautiful route that definitely needs a remaster if you ask me. Southeastern High Speed, London St Pancras to Faversham here, and Ashford International. That got the extension to Dartford here at a later time. Brighton Main Line, what used to be the London Commuter DLC from London Victoria down to the south. Brighton is not on the map here. Birmingham Cross City, Lichfield Trans Valley, and those two stations in the south. The Glossop line we got from Manchester Piccadilly and the Midland Main Line connecting Leicester, Derby, and Nottingham. From the East Coast Main Line, we got Peterborough to Doncaster with the beautiful Azuma trains. The Blackpool branches are Preston to Blackpool South and North. Bernays extension here in Ormskirk. This part just trains again. Then West Coast Main Line South London Euston Station to Milton Keynes was a core route in one of the transom world incarnations. The first and so far single Welsh route Cardiff City network. Not a lot of distance covered here, but around Cardiff in a different color because steam era or a long gone area. Liverpool to Crewe, Spirit of Steam. Peak Forest route, more or less connecting the Manchester area with the Derby area. West Somerset Railway is only a little bit on this part of the map. Heritage Line, as we all know. What did I forget? Manchester Airport, Alan Thompson Simulations debut, failing to connect all the edge with Crewe. What is still an itch that needs to be fixed at some point in time. And we have the London Overground Line, Suffragette Line, and the Mildmay Line. And then in the TSW6 era, we got Birmingham Crewe, just not so recently, from All Aboard Studios. Then we got the Medway Valley Line, beautiful line that now has even a rainbow in it, connecting here to the Southeastern High Speed. Quite recently, we got the West Coast Main Line Trent Valley part connecting Milton Keynes with Crewe, doubling a bit of track that is already in the Birmingham Crewe DLC from Stafford to Crewe. And now, very recently, last one to be released, West Coast Main Line Crewe Preston, a very beautiful and gorgeous DLC that I'm playing at the moment a lot. The Thames Valley lines are promised will be interesting. What this can add in terms of new experience and gameplay, not connected little peculiar lines around the Great Western Express line. We're still promised the Richmond extension for the Mildmay line from Willesden Junction to Richmond. And then if we go over to the south, we can also add the Bakerloo line, different color because it is an underground line, obviously. We can get the Brighton Main Line actually down south to Brighton, West Somerset Railway to its end here, where it connects to the line that you would travel if you go from Exeter to Reading and London. East Coast Way, Brighton to Eastbourne, and the boat train connect. The Isle of Wight rivet, controversial, but in my opinion, a really beautiful DLC that was, reworked in a more modern way. Well, the two different eras, same line, two DLC, West Cornwall local, also DLC, controversial, Penzance to St. Austell. I still like it. Not so many people do that. The Rivera line, obviously one of the most beautiful lines to drive, core route of TSW6. This is why it is red here, connecting Exeter, St. David's and Plymouth here, and also Paignton here in this little extension. That is already what we have in the UK, so a lot of lines that we have in the UK, and still there's a lot of stuff that needs to be covered, especially Wales, especially Anglia, and this part here between London and Cornwall, Devon. There is also a lot of white on the map. Let's blend over to Central Europe. Here we have Netherlands, northern part of Germany, southern part of Germany with the Czech Republic, Austria, Switzerland, and then the southern part of France in one DLC, as we all know. Let's have a look at this first. Northern part of Germany and the Netherlands. First part here was rapid transit from Dessau to Markkleeberg, covering Leipzig. Ruhrsieg Nord, still one of the most beautiful German routes that we have from Hagen to Finnentorp. More of the Ruhr variety, Rhein-Ruhr-Osten, from Wuppertal to Hagen, actually connecting those two routes at Hagen. Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr, a bit controversial in my opinion, from Bochum, Essen to Duisburg. Schnellfahrstrecke Köln-Aachen, Transform World 2 core route Köln and Aachen. The connector Hamburg-Lübeck we had from this area, from this era, and also Dresden-Leipzig rush hour route Dresden to Riesa, no, Dresden-Riesa, not Dresden-Leipzig, Dresden Computer Nahverkehr at the time in the original version added the Meißen branch, then Dresden connected with Chemnitz by the Tante Rampe line. Schnellfahrstrecke Kassel-Würzburg for Transworld 3 core route, Kassel down south, even south of the map here, and Bremen-Oldenburg. Then the first Dutch DLC connecting Zwolle with Groningen is not so far away from Oldenburg, so a connect here should actually be possible in the south, also with the Ruhrgebiets DLCs. And for Transworld 6 we got the extension of Dresden-Riesa to Dresden-Leipzig. This is why this is red. And on the roadmap already we have the Rhein-Niersbahn that would connect Duisburg and Mönchengladbach more or less in this part that they promised us. And that would connect to Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr and bring us that part. Blending over to the southern part of Germany, we can actually show how long the Schnellfahrstrecke Kassel-Würzburg is at Fulda. We're connecting the Kinzigtalbahn, Frankfurt-Fulda. Frankfurt am Main is connected to this. Main-Spessartbahn is an older DLC, Gmünden am Main to Aschaffenburg, not really connecting to the Schnellfahrstrecke, but more or less ending in the same geographical area. From Aschaffenburg we also have the Maintalbahn going south a bit. Then we have the Linke Rheinstrecke connecting Koblenz and Mainz, then connecting this bit with the Frankfurt S-Bahn DLC, Mainz, Wiesbaden and Frankfurt. Especially the Niddertalbahn, if you wonder where this little piece or gem by TSG is located, it is just a bit north of Frankfurt in this area. Ludwigsbahn, Mannheim, Kaiserslautern, a bit more to the south. Baden-Württemberg starting going to Rhineland-Palatinate. Die Hauptstrecke München-Augsburg, so here is Munich, Bavaria, Czech Republic. München-Augsburg, the connector, Salzburg-Rosenheim around the Chiemsee, you would find here on the map going from Germany to Austria. Recently, Transim World 6th era, Heilbronn to Stuttgart, Train Sim Germany production. That is here, Stuttgart, capital of Baden-Württemberg. Same era, the first Czech route, Liberec-Stara On the roadmap, there is Nürnberg-Ingolstadt, what will be very interesting for me because that is my home turf, the northern part of Bavaria, more or less. Also on the roadmap is the Neckartalbahn, Heidelberg-Neckar-Elz, what will be here, probably in a different era, so might end up in gray, but that is close to Mannheim, Heidelberg, and then this part to Neckar-Elz, almost connecting to Heilbronn, but not quite. So this is what can be expected here. We blend over more to the south, then we come to Austria and Switzerland mainly. There we have more connecting lines between Germany and Austria. That will be the S-Bahn Vorarlberg, where we got the first Austrian feel from Lindau am Bodensee to Bludenz via in this little bit here that is going towards Switzerland without reaching it. Mittenwaldbahn, Garmisch-Partenkirchen, Mittenwald, and then over through the mountains to Tyrol in Austria. Semmeringbahn, only DLC that is happening exclusively in Austria from Wiener Neustadt to Mürzzuschlag, before then you go to the Steiermark. The Swiss narrow gauge lines, Russa line, Bernina line, have been around forever, and rivets. S-Bahn Zentralschweiz is the only Swiss normal gauge DLC that we have so far, would be here, actually in the center of Switzerland, what is a bit around here. And then even going further to the south, you can see the Bernina line shows up on this map. Here is the only French route that we have. The Ligne de Grande Vitesse with the TGV connecting Marseille and Avignon, crossing at Aix-en-Provence. That was that one. That is what we have in Central Europe, and what is still on the roadmap would be Southern Europe for the first time. This is Portugal. Here we have Spain. This is Gibraltar. And this bit, Lisboa to Setúbal, is on the roadmap, and we should get this soon. Leaving Europe behind, we get to Asia. So this is our only overview map of Asia so far. We have Japan, we have the Koreas, we have the better part of China, Mongolia, we have a little bit of India, Bangladesh, we have the northern part of Vietnam, Laos, I think, and Myanmar, especially Taiwan here. And the only hotspot so far is this central Japan here with Tokyo area, and here is it, the Tadami line that we are all waiting for, and hoping that we will get it at some point in time, maybe even in the TSW6 era. But it's the only one in Asia on the roadmap so far. It can only be more. Then let's go to the United States of America and Canada. And those are the United States minus Hawaii and minus Alaska. Obviously, here is the US-American border. So here it is very straight. On top there is Canada. Then we have Mexico and better part of the Caribbean. And here we have our hotspots, especially in the area of the northeastern corridor, Boston to Washington, New York area, Boston, Washington. That would be more or less the northeast corridor. And the oldest one would be the Long Island Railroad in its original version, connecting New York Grand Central with Long Island to Hicksville. And with the rush hour, we got Northeast Corridor Boston to Providence here in Rhode Island. Later then we got the Harlem line, we got New York to Trenton, we got the extended version of the Long Island Railroad that also got us to Long Beach. Then at some point we got more MBTA trains in Boston to Worcester. And with Transit World 6, we got the Morristown line connecting Hoboken in New Jersey and also New York with Dover via Morristown. And we got most recently, even though a couple of months ago already, the Northeast Corridor, New York to Stamford, part of the Harlem line doubling up, but also the Amtrak lines that go around and connect to Stamford, replacing most of the only DLC that did not make it into the Transim World 2 and further era. So that at least we have now the Northeast Corridor between Trenton via New York to Stamford, and then there is a gap. And then we have the part between Providence and Boston. So for the whole Northeast Corridor, there's still a bit to do between Washington, Baltimore, Wilmington, Delaware, Philly, and then to Trenton, and the other part between Stamford, New Haven, to get to Providence in the end. What we also find on this part of the map is Altoona, or is the starting point for a DLC by the Horseshoe Curve with the Norfolk Southern locomotive that did not really get expanded anymore since then, and this allows us to move the map a bit to the southwest. Here we can see the whole line from Altoona to Johnstown, and with a bit of mining lines in the south. Also quite close is the mother of all American freight routes, Sampage Grade between Cumberland and what is it, Rockville on this part. So here we would cross the Alleghenies on the Sampage Grade route connecting obviously the East Coast with the area of Pittsburgh, Cleveland, the Great Lakes, and then later on also Detroit, Chicago. All that is reachable via those lines. Going even more to the south, there is one route that we mustn't forget that is happening here, especially in the better part of Kentucky, Dante and Elkhorn City, where is the Clinchfield Railroad. That is a lot of single track railroading with the F7 locomotive carrying coal back and forth. Also gray because it is a different era altogether. Not to forget, in this area we also have a bit more to the north, the only non-American or non-US North American DLC that we have so far. Here you can see the connection to the Boston and Boston Providence, Boston Worcester, and if you go all the way here, you cross the Canadian border and then would hit here the part of the Oakville subdivision before you get around the coast of Lake Ontario and would come to Toronto. Here is Ottawa, Montreal. So it's really only scratching the huge mass of the Canadian expanses here. So those hotspots, and then in the west we have, especially here in the Wyoming, Utah area, 2 DLCs, and then in California and another hotspot map because we need Phoenix in Arizona because there is one DLC on the roadmap. But first, going to Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming. Cane Creek, an oldish DLC, almost forgotten, and well, a bit difficult in many aspects. Would happen here in the Moab area between Potash and Thompson. American freight only. The beautiful Sherman Hill between Cheyenne and Laramie, 2 lines. Unfortunately, the 3rd line here that runs a bit to the south is not in the DLC, unlike in the Train Sim Classic version. So that will actually be a big benefit to add this to the DLC, but I don't think that this will ever happen. So those 2 things we have in this area of the United States, and then in California we started out since forever the beautiful Peninsula Corridor line between San Francisco and San Jose. Actually runs up to Gilroy, but the part between San Jose and Gilroy is not in the DLC. And yeah, we also know that the problem with the licensing of Caltrain ran out, so that now those locomotives run without the Caltrain branding. What has not been fixed since. And then starting with Trainsim World 3, Cowan Pass between Barstow, Victorville, Hesperia, and then here is actually the pass, and then the way down to San Bernardino. Then we go in, I think it was Trainsim World 5 or whatever, Antelope Valley line, Lancaster to Los Angeles Union Station, and then at some point, no, it was 4. Antelope Valley was 4, I think, and San Bernardino was then 5. The core route connecting LA Union Station with San Bernardino. So we actually have 3 DLCs that connect together. What we don't have is this connecting line between Hesperia and Palmdale, more or less. Then we could go in a big circle around the Angeles National Forest, but this will probably not happen. So we started out with San Francisco and the Bay Area, and then we got more DLCs though in the Los Angeles area. and Cone Pass area. We move it a bit to the left because we need Phoenix and Arizona, because there is on the roadmap a line that is called the Hayden Branch, the Southern Pacific ore lines, probably historical thing more or less by hot iron simulations that will present us with heavy ore trains that do difficult freight work there. That's it. At the moment, end of June 2026, Train Sim World. How much of the world is covered? Thank you for watching, and thank you for participating. That is a great map, the CD Radar. Thank you. I'm always so happy if you like my maps. And at 8 in 20 minutes, I will be back with the regular Sunday night stream. Bye-bye.